What's up, you guys? It's your boy Miguel here to give you your daily dose of radiation. In today's video, we are covering the overall how hard it is to be an X-ray tech versus how hard it is to be a nurse. So to give you context, I am an X-ray tech. I've been doing it for 4 years. I work night shift. My wife is a nurse. She has been doing it for about, I want to say, seven years. Yes. So to get straight to the point, it is much harder to be a nurse in most aspects, and then in some aspects it is harder. It's more situational to be a little bit more harder to be an X-ray tech. I don't mean to put our people down as someone who does X-ray, but in the general sense of both stress and the level of, like, they both have their own, like, risk, both from just doing the job, both from the patient safety. Like, they all come with risks. They all, risk with reward. I mean, we deal with, like, radiation, and every single patient, we do get a tiny little dose of cancer, versus nursing, they don't. They just get a little splash if they're in vicinity. But overall, like, I come home. Matter of fact, when I clock out of work, especially with mine, I just work in the emergency room, night shift. Like, literally, as soon as I clock out, I don't have to worry about work. I don't have to think about work. My lady has done both mobile, like, home nursing. She has done nursing home. She has done, like, family medicine. And all of those jobs, comes home stressed, talking mad about how she doesn't have the right equipment, which we don't either. Ours is like, we can barely get our job. Like, it all, both, any, matter of fact, any medical field you go into, it doesn't matter if it's X-ray, nursing, ultrasound, PD, you're always gonna have, you can barely do your job, or the stuff you have is barely past, like, it's all messed up just around the board. But she just consistently will get mad at, like, stuff, or be stressing about tomorrow, or be stressing about the workload, about this, about that. As someone who literally, I don't have to ever worry about, I'm stress free. The most stress that I may possess for my job is, I get a message from my supervisor, or I know the day before, hey, PAX is going down, which, for those who are not familiar, that's the stuff we put the X-ray images online, or, hey, the system the whole hospital uses going down, like going on downtime, going on offline. You're gonna have to do stuff manually. That is a little bit of an inconvenience, but it's not anything you can't deal without, especially if you work night shift. As a matter of fact, it drags everyone, both my people in the X-ray field and everyone else, doctors, everyone else who deals with that a damn being. But that's just part of the nighttime. That's why you get paid a little bit more money than daytime. That's something you can kind of, I mean, maybe thinking about who's going to be the emergency room doctor, because that alone, if you've never worked in the hospital, it can be a huge difference between, we're just going to be chilling at night, or we're just going to be, like, doing unnecessary level exams, or too many X-rays, when it should just be like this and that. Like, night and day difference. You can tell. It doesn't matter if it's the same amount of workload, same amount of people. Certain days are obviously more, like, heavy hitting in the emergency room, which is weird considering the emergency room is supposedly, like, it's supposed to be random. Like, if people just don't have, I'm gonna have a set emergency, so that, like, some of it's like car crashes and, like, it's random, so you never know what's happening. But, like, the doctors, night and day, like, you can tell the workload. Same thing for nursing, they get dragged into it too, a little bit more, because they have more other stuff to do, which makes their job even harder. I've been many times just, like, just observing the nursing, even at my work, of like I've sat down and just seen what they've done, like when it's slow sometimes, and like the amount of charting, the amount of like medication, the amount they have to do a little bit of math sometimes, or even the traumas, and like constantly having to, and I'm just there with my little Xray board. I'm like, are you done yet? So I can slide my board under so I can do like the post intubation or like post reduction. Like they do so much. So if you want to like join the medical world and you're like, Miguel, I want to feel like I make a difference. I want to feel like I'm hands-on helping people. You go do nursing. If that's the route you want to go. Obviously we have our moments too. Like we have like, I mean, saving people or just like showing them like, it's broken, I can't do nothing about it, but it is there. I did my part, sir. Let me get the doctor, let me get the nurse to get you some medicine. Like that's it's way less stressful. I could say like way less stressful. Now sometimes we do have a few situations that could, like if they're in the emergency room and like you see someone's leg and it's obviously like broken. There's certain ways without even x-raying that you just see maybe the way the leg is slanted, or maybe the way, or you just actually see the bone sticking out of their leg. You already can tell like this is gonna be not as stressful, but it's like to get the images you need for the doctor, like you're gonna have to use little skills to do it. Like even the amount they can give them X amount of pain medicine, but at some point if it's broken, like there's only so much you can do. And sometimes they don't give them medicine and you still have to get the images done because they want to know how much medicine depending on what they see. And some of those it's kind of hard to get some of those pictures done. Those are a little bit of stressful, I guess. The most stress I've ever felt at my job was when a patient is coding or has a lot of stuff going on in the trauma room, and there is a tiny window, like a tiny 30 seconds. Like you already have the board placed under, tube aligned, they're doing compressions, they're doing whatever, like the patient's maybe not doing too good, like they have a tiny little window. Everyone surrounding the patient backs up, maybe for vitals or just to give you your shot, and you better hope to God that you positioned the board correctly and you didn't clip it, because you may not get another chance at shooting that patient. That is the most stress that I kind of face, because sometimes that's all you get and they're gone. Like they're gone to go to CAT scan, or they have to do something else, or as soon as that picture pops up, they gotta intubate, they gotta do whatever. And that's like the most where you show your skills type. That's a little bit stressful. But like overall, yeah, I'll always hands off to my lady or to anyone who's a nurse who decides to be a nurse. That is some true, like, it's a lot of stuff. Like even in the school, the medications and all that. Like we have our own levels of medication. Like you have like the gastrographin, you have the contrast and stuff like that. But it does not compare to the level of what the nurses do. Like it is ungodly. Like even just knowing what your patient has, what they can have. Like mine situation is like, are you allergic to contrast? Have you ever had contrast? Not, well, you're gonna have contrast today. Like that's it. Like there's not. Now we do deal with like if they have like anaphylactic reactions to the contrast. Usually that's more like CAT scan has it, but we also get involved since we do give contrast too. But most of the time at night, especially at night, most people who get contrast is because we're doing like a little PEG tube replacement or a little G tube replacement. Usually if they already have that majority of the times they've already had a contrast, if they're already getting it replaced, doing stuff, so it's not as stressful. Now, what stresses me may not stress you or fellow other techs who've done. I personally do not enjoy doing fluoroscopy. That's why I kind of joined the night shift, because at night the chances of you doing it is not zero. Like literally yesterday I had to do a cystograph. I haven't done that even since I was a student. I've never done one. Thank God I was accompanied by a fellow daytime tech who kind of walked me through. It wasn't too bad, I just don't enjoy it. That's one thing that me and my other night tech don't really enjoy, doing the whole contrast situation there. So that's something that if you are, very skilled or have worked in the main radiology field and you know what you're doing, it really won't stress you out. Me, that's something I really don't like. Yes, it is part of my job, but I just rather not. And depending on your level of trauma you work at, you may have to do it, you may not have to do it. And depending on what happened to the patient, even in the lower tier traumas, you could still get dragged into it. In my 4 years of working night shift, I have done now 2 fluoroscopy exams. So it's not always zero. There's a tiny, it's like the little Germex, it's 0.001% chance of you getting dragged into it always. So. But most of the time, if they need it, they almost always go to a CAT scan, and that maybe solve it, unless the radiologist is like, hey, we really need to do it this way. Or certain stuff that has to be done with fluoroscopy or with contrast in our department. So that's something, I guess, that could kind of, that's more situational stress. So, what else? Maybe like if you accidentally ran the images under the wrong person or put the wrong images online and you got a report, that could be something that could stress someone out. But as long as you're on top of it, you really shouldn't have to deal with that much. But that's something that could kind of be high level stress. If you catch it, as long as you catch it before it gets read, it can be safe. Just putting that out there. But yeah, overall, like, I salute everyone who does nursing and who wishes to do nursing. Like, that's salute y'all. Y'all deserve more money. The amount of stuff my lady tells me as a nurse and what they do and the money they get paid, I'm like, oof, that's a lot of stress. Like, majority of the times I think we're the only department that isn't as stressed as much, especially in the emergency room, because like everyone who comes into the emergency room has to be seen by a nurse and a doctor. They don't have to see it. Just know that. And like, we could hypothetically have everyone in the hospital as a patient on the morning port list, because they could need for whatever reason. So technically we could see a bunch of people and have a lot of work, but not everyone needs x-rays. It's like a double-sided. Like, even at my hospital, just to give you a comparison of just numbers, there's only 2 x-ray techs at a trauma 3 and 1 CAT scan. And sometimes we have ultrasound, sometimes we don't. No MRI, they're more on call. IR, on call too, overnight. Nursing, there's probably like about, I want to say 200 nurses, maybe 150 nurses that hold down the hospital at night. And then doctors, you could probably sprinkle 2 in the ER, 1 ICU doctor, and then probably 1 on each floor of the hospital, in-house or out, like just on call type of, like they'll just message and stuff. So yeah, it's less staffing. So I could see how maybe as far as like getting a job and how stressful it could be, or where you could get a job, it could be a little bit more harder in some places. Just because like there's only 2 like slots at my night shift, and like as soon as I got it and I saw what we're doing, like I ain't going anywhere. I'm gonna be like, it's not that hard of a job, 7 on, 7 off. Like I may be, if I don't get fired, I may be at this job till I retire. I don't know. It's not really hard. So like, why would I be incentive to leave? Maybe I need more money. I could just go to CAT scans, claim like 7 on, 7 off. But like, I could see how it'd be harder to get a job in my field. But there's other opportunities though. It's not just in that. So yeah, it's been your boy Miguel. Hope you enjoyed this. If you stayed this far, I appreciate you. I literally post videos every single day about the beautiful field of radiology and collabing of other medical fields, because of my family, we have a bit of everyone in other fields of the medical world. And even in that, I still continue to say, and they tell me, I wish I would have done what you did, Miguel, because you don't look stressed half the time. And to that, I'll tell you, I drink to that. A little Diet Coke. Because my life is pretty good. I mean, money could be a little bit better, but like overall, I think I did pretty good. I like enjoy looking at bones. I would rather look at dinosaur bones all day. That's why the little logo is that. But that's pretty good, you know. I enjoy it. Now day shift, that's a whole different beast. I can't guarantee you safety on that one. I'll make other videos of those. But it's nice. It's pretty good.